Oh yeah, getting our funk on Friday, Funky Friday.
What's up, peoples? Happy Friday.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Everything to Gain. Today's episode, we're episode 9, and let's talk about pivots. Let's talk about pivots, baby. So, hey, by the way, did you see the pop culture call out in the post?
No.
Let's talk about pivots.
Oh,
baby. Talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about pivots.
I'm talking to. Yeah.
A little salt and pepper on a Friday, and it never hurts, right?
90s references. I'm with you. Keep going.
Yeah. Hey, everyone, thank you for joining this week to Everything to Gain, where we talk about making positive changes in your life. As always, we are live right here on LinkedIn, Twitch, and this week, YouTube Live. So please ask questions. We love to hear your questions, to read your questions, and because we're live, right, during our show. So, hey, did you see this week the new Apple ad?
So I saw the plaque from it. I had to go back and watch it. Yeah, what a disaster.
It's like the Terminator, right? The original Terminator movie where like, you know, Linda Hamilton, crushes the Terminator.
This is up there with. I don't understand how they thought this was a good idea. Like, who's in charge?
I mean, it's so for the audience, if you haven't seen it yet, it's a compressor that smashes musical instruments like a Space Invaders machine, like art supplies, like the piano, like all
items
of these
that represent creativity get
right,
smushed.
creativity, right, paint, right, and it's like all these human things, right? A record, like an old school record player, right, type of thing, and then it pulls back to like reveal like the new iPad. Right, I think it's just like that's an allegory for layoffs and like AI.
I guess, Mike, this is just a guess. I'm thinking they were going after we're smashing all the creativity together into the iPad. Like, I think that's what they meant to get across.
Yeah, that's what they meant to do. But
in the end, it was like, we're going to ground out. Human creativity has been ground out of the process. See you later.
Yeah, see ya. Yeah, like, oh, you can do all of these things. You don't need any of those other things. That's really what it is. So, but yeah, and then and anyway, that was like that's an allegory for the changing technology. But anyway, so this week we're talking about.
Actually, before we do anything this week, you have a new position, my friend. I saw this on LinkedIn. Fill me in.
Is it a new position? So I am now editor at large for Tab Forum. So I'm going to be creating more content around work life, making pivots, in your life for Tab Forum, which is really
for the non-finance bros. What's Tab Forum?
Yeah, Tab Forum is a online publication that really focuses on financial services, but mostly like products, right? So like equities or whatever, derivatives or ETFs or whatever it is. But they want to kind of add a little bit more flavor to what they're doing, and they brought me in. So really excited about that. An opportunity to create more content, another channel. And anyway, we still got the show. We still got to do the show. So anyway, the last episode 8.
Yeah, that we got a lot of, so real fast, we got a lot of feedback on that, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate the questions, the follow-ups. I got a lot of DMs. Episode 8, give people a quick 30-second recap, Dan, just so we can take it from there.
I can give you a 10-second recap. It's we talked about AI, how AI is coming for your job, right? I mean, it is. Companies will, they don't care, right? They kind of don't care about the person because they'll always look to make more money and increase profits over, keeping employees happy, right? And
the single biggest expense for any company is the employee. And so if there's any way to automate that or reduce that or eliminate that, they're going to. Now, I'm not trying to sow fear, but you must be aware that this is the goal of every company, is to lower expenses.
Absolutely. Right. So some of the numbers, right, about layoffs. Just recently, just in tech, the kind of like the headline number is 202,000 in 2022, 223 in 2023. I mean, there's tech's laying off, healthcare obviously laying people off, even though there's a massive nursing shortage, which doesn't make sense to me, but they're doing it. Colleges, right? So the education right? It's closing at one per week. I mean, it's bananas, right?
Article today, by the way, on whether or not college financially is worth it anymore. They're doing the math on like what kind of job can the average person get versus what the cost was. These were not calculations that were coming up years ago.
No, not at all. And then of course we were talking about last week, long haul trucking, logistics, warehousing, any rules based job. I mean, Google and Tesla, I mean, they're in the news, often around the layoffs. And then we also mentioned Goldman Sachs, right? They had that report.
Yeah, Goldman's trying to track what's going to happen with the job losses versus also the creator economy. They're getting involved in a lot of the evolution of work, let's call it.
Right, the evolution of work, right? And so I think everybody's really stressed out about this, right? And so if you get laid off, right, I think the stress of course is totally increased, like how you can pay bills, but I think people are stressed out anyway, right? Because they may be underemployed, maybe they're employed but they're just underemployed. So let's say you get laid off. What's kind of the first thing that we want to do here?
I think number one is to manage your mental process. Like being laid off, if I had $1 for every time I was laid off, I'd be retired already. So it happens to everybody. I'm being serious. Like it's in the old days, I'm talking like when we were kids, Dan, it was a reflection of you if you were laid off. Today, it is no reflection on you, your skill sets, or any other thing except for the macro environment right now is very challenging. It is not, do not take it personally, number one. It actually ends up usually being a doorway to something much better. So the unknown.
Absolutely. Right.
The process of managing that unknown is what this show is predicated on. And it's stressful, but the reality is at the end of that, oftentimes you're in a better place. So number one, don't stress.
And with that, like what are the companies telling you, right? Like they're, instead of saying they didn't want me anymore, right? The narrative, you can flip the narrative and just say, well, they thought it was better for them and for you, the person who got laid off, to have an opportunity to do something different, right? And find success elsewhere.
I would argue people should be assessing their skills at all times, always, anyway, regardless of this concern around layoffs.
100%, right? Yeah, it's continue to grow, right? Obviously, continue to grow.
I think.
And so what else can we do?
I think also number two, be around people that have positive vibes. I know that sounds woo-woo, but the reality is, besides the way you manage your own mental, is to be around the right people. Right?
That's why I hang out with you. You're like the happiest guy on the planet. Come on.
How about that? But the reality is, like, you become the people you hang around, 5 people or whatever. I think that curate your crowd. And this isn't about career yet. This is just about what type of an environment do I operate well in? These are the types of people I need to be around. You're a Star Wars nerd, Dan. I know you are. So am I. We connect on the Marvel, Lord of the Rings jokes all the time. It affects mood. And then it helps me 100%. When I go into my next thing, if I'm writing a piece for a customer or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's all about continuing that positivity, right? So overcome the negativity. So, and then, I mean, what else? What else?
I think more important than
every opportunity you have,
taking action, getting out there, like get yourself in the mix. Start to talk to people, network, make sure this isn't even about getting a job either. This is just about circulating in society, because people who get to know you and know your skill sets oftentimes will think of things that you didn't think of, but you got to be in it to win it, as they say.
Yeah. You got to network, and every opportunity that you have, right? It's a chance to connect with somebody that you may not have connected with before. Right.
And I've actually mentioned this to you before, Dan, but your little sign off has always been for years, your slogan, what can I do for you? Every time there's a conversation, folks don't know Dano, it's always ends with, what can I do for you? And it's not like a line. It's like, is there any way I can help you? That type of an approach to people is very, it builds community around you. People like, I like this guy or girl. Like, I want to be around people like that. So you start to work on attracting positive people, helping people, even though you're not in the position maybe to do so. Do what you can do. Might just be sharing a story.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right, it's like the old way of doing things, right, where it's all about points and winning, right? Me versus you. It's that's been gone, right, for quite a while now. And so once you take out the winning, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
So,
last thing I'll add, hold on, exercise. Believe it or not, I'm not to, I'm gonna preach here, but like I'm gonna wake up at 4:30 in the morning every day. Exercising helps you in your creativity. It helps you mentally manage mood. It's exercising, whatever version of it that might just be a walk around the block, but you should find something to exercise. If you're worried or you've been laid off or you're in a stressful time of life, exercise only helps.
I walk my dog every day, but I got to do more, right? Obviously. So,
right. All right. So on the more practical version of this, what should people do, Dan? Like, let's just say you're worried about layoffs. You know AI is coming. You either have been laid off or you're worried about being laid off. What can we do to attack that?
So, right off the bat, I think there's three paths. There's three choices.
There's a Led Zeppelin quote in here somewhere.
What's Stairway to Heaven?
There are two paths you can go about it. Keep going. Let's say the three paths.
So the three paths. Number one, you can go back to your another corporate job, right? And if that's what you want to do, if that's what you really want to do, that's totally cool. I would suggest to the viewers, go back and watch episode 4 of our show, Everything to Gain, with John Lovig. You can go to our YouTube channel, right? E2G Show, or here. It's also here on LinkedIn. You can scroll my LinkedIn, you'll see it. Our guest, John Lovig, our friend, he really goes through a bunch of strategies, tactics, hints, and actually a ton of inside scoop on how recruiters operate and how you can avoid the pitfalls of really going after another corporate job. So that's the one path, right? Right. Totally cool. If you want to do that, today we're going to talk about two other paths. Number one, pivot to a growth industry, right? So get out of that corporate and go to do something really different, but bring your skills.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Right, lifts all boats, right? And then the other one is become an entrepreneur. So pivoting to a growth industry, right? So why a growth industry? So if your industry is laying people off, what does that say? That means across the board, there's less to do because maybe it's AI, right? Just like Google and Apple and Amazon, they're all laying people off, right? Because many of the tasks that they're doing are just going to be automated, right? So if your industry is laying people off, and that's not just your firm, but the industry as a whole, it may be time to go to another industry. So why not a growth industry? Because in a growth industry, they're hiring, right? They need people. They need people that are willing to get out of the thing that they were doing and then come help us over here, right? So
I want to comment on that, Dan. There's a lot of growth industries. People tend to believe that there's no growth going because your area is not growing. Whatever field you're in does not mean that there's no growth. AI, as an industry, is off the charts growth. Blockchain, off the charts growth. That is not AI, by the way. They're different. Healthcare, off the charts growth.
Elder care.
Like there's areas of the economy that are scaling huge right now, and that don't just buy into the myth that everything sucks. It doesn't.
It doesn't. No. So how do you do it? Look at your existing skills. Take your existing skills. Then you got to build a brand, a real personal brand to reflect the industries you want to go to, not where you've been or where you are now, because where you were and where you are now may not be the hot thing going, right? So you want to go where it's hot, right? You want to go to the sexy industry because guess what? It's growing. So you build your personal brand, create some content, right? So create a regular schedule of content. Talk about where you want to go because that'll attract the people that are actually in that industry to come find you. And then network your ass off.
So I want to comment on that. You say it you gloss over that, building a brand, putting out content. There's skills around that. You have to learn how to do this, but you start off by sucking and that's okay, but you got to start.
Yep. It's okay to suck at something new, right? That's what it boils down to. And I mean, look at the two of us. We were, Wall Street for decades. I mean, I think between the two of us, probably almost 60 years of Wall Street between the two of us, and we are making our pivots.
You must have been on Wall Street a long time because I'm not old enough for that.
Between the two of us, I said, not just
you know what, Dan? I just quick anecdote for the teams here. I made a mistake in my billing in my regular business this week. I was sharing with Dano behind the scenes, and I'm like, had I done that on Wall Street, I'd have been fired. But I'm, as an entrepreneur, like, this is what it takes. You're gonna step in it, and that's just the way it works. And that will be the case if you start a new industry. It'll be if you do your own thing. You got to be okay. And a lot of the corporate folks, I was one, I can cast this stone. A lot of the corporate folks are not comfortable. They've learned that I can't make a mistake. Like, that is the wrong mentality.
Yeah, you will make mistakes. It's guaranteed to make mistakes as an entrepreneur, as in a new kind of jobs, right? Because we're all learning, right? Especially growth industries. Everybody's learning. So in any industry, though, right? No matter what industry it is, the most important skills are, number one, critical thinking. Critical thinking is really just being able to take a look at a situation and then making an educated guess, right? I mean, that's what it boils down to, right? We're trying to make data-driven decisions, but ultimately, a lot of times it's a guesstimate, right? And hopefully it's an educated guesstimate. Number two, problem solving.
Can I interrupt you 1 second, Dan? On the critical thinking, here's just a practical handle on that, how to do it. Play a game. Every time you think to yourself, like, I can't believe that this is how it's structured, there should be a way to do blah, blah, blah better, right? We could put a man on the moon, but we can't do whatever that next thing is. This is critical thinking. When you're sitting there, I do this now, I go into like a Starbucks or whatever, and I'm thinking they should rearrange the line of checkout for this store because it would be more, the traffic flow would be better. That's critical thinking. Like, if you pull into, like, the master of this is probably like IKEA, right? They make you walk through the whole store because they know you're going to buy something. My point is, start putting your thinking cap on of like, how would I do this scenario better? Even if you don't own the company or do whatever, but in any situation, just think, how would I improve this? That's critical thinking.
Right. Yeah. And you're exercising those muscles, right? To be able to do the problem solving, which is number two, right? Problem solving in your own life, in your own business, your own ventures, right? That's the number two. And then number three, empathy and EQ, right? Because we all know that AI is going to outstrip IQ. It already has. It completely outstrips.
Yeah.
So
you're not going to outperform the machine.
That's the pivot. No, it's the pivot to a growth industry. So we're going to talk about next the path pivot to entrepreneurship.
Near and dear.
Yeah. So Mark and I are both entrepreneurs, right? We're doing a bunch of different things. We are, how do we put this? Diversify the way we make money, right? We're getting after it. We're hustling.
Yep.
Right. But ultimately, what's kind of the path? And since you've actually written a ton about this stuff, and you've spoken a ton about this stuff, what are the things that you can do?
Sure.
Right.
So let me just caveat this. I was in the corporate world for 30 years, right? I know that world. I'm not just casting stones at it. I switched to entrepreneurship, and I'm doing this maybe 5 years now, so I'm not pretending to be the be all end all, but I can compare and contrast, and neither one is better. They're different. It's a different type of a person that's attracted to one or the other. And as I got older, I was more attracted to the other. So my point is, this is not meant as a judgment. But if you are looking to become an entrepreneur and you feel like there might be something more than just a corporate gig that you're doing, there's 6 steps that I had to go through. I wish someone had given me this little roadmap when I started. Number one, and these are very specific steps, own a specific problem, right? So the problem of an entrepreneur growing their business is a problem. I solve that now, content, etc. But like, you have to be known as the person that solves problem X. So define that.
So what kind of problems like can we solve as an entrepreneur?
Anytime that someone complains about anything in the world, that's a problem to be solved. So sales and marketing is a problem. People don't know how to do it properly. In the corporate world, by the way, I was realizing that content drove business for the Wall Street firms. They didn't know how to do that. They still don't know how to do that. That's a problem. So there was a back and forth I had this morning in the DMs around Google has done research which shows how many touch points someone has to have before they'll do business with you. It's a lot. And so the 7-11-4 rule is what it's called. You can Google it. But the point is, the corporate folks don't understand how the content world works. The creator world doesn't understand how proper business, sales, and marketing works at the higher levels. That's not a judgment again. It just is. It's got to do with experience. Those are problems. And I tackle those problems. But there's others.
Those are two like wildly different problems, but you're able to get after it. Okay, so find the problem. Great.
Number two, build a specific offer that solves that problem. When I say an offer, I mean not I do this. In the work world, you can say I am a sales trader, right? Dan, we did that. We trade stocks for a living. We sell hedge funds for a living. what you do is different from designing an offer. An offer has a very tangible outcome. After people deal with my company, they will walk away with a battle plan for their marketing. They will walk away with larger revenue, audience growth, whatever I'm going to promise them.
Right.
When you build your offer, you have to say, this is the problem I solve, and here's what you will get. Tangible, not just better. Like, this is a thing. So specific. Number 3, create specific content around that. Like, you have to message this, and you need a process to do that. Dan, you post a ton. You're now writing for Tab Forum. You're doing this primarily. This is you on the podcast. You. For those who don't know, Dan is the most organized podcast organizer, host guy of all time.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
You are built for this. Like I say, beer in one hand, microphone in the other is you. And so Dan's got a process. If you're going to be doing an offer and selling a solution, you got to have a process for how you message that. Yeah. Number 4, attract a specific community. Whom are you serving? Who is your ideal client? In a perfect world, Harry Potter wand, who's the person that shows up and wants to give you money to solve that problem? A lot of people just want to make money. They just want to do business. You got to know these are my people and these are not my people.
Right. So you have to know the kind of like the target, right?
Yeah. Number 4, ironically, is help those people. And the reason I make this a step is because you can't just do the service. If it's not an actual tangible outcome that they can walk away and tell someone how great it was, you didn't really help them. And if you don't have the result matters in the entrepreneur world, if there's no result, you're out of business.
It's almost like a contractor, right? Like they're going to build you the thing, and then you'll have the new product. You'll have the new thing that shows up, right? It's your new house or whatever, right? It's you're helping them with a problem.
You don't have this in the corporate world because there's a thing called attribution. Dano, remember this? I can say, Dano knows client X, but I know them too. And I'm more responsible for driving that business than Dano is. And then the argument will happen in the boardroom and they'll just be like, okay, we'll split it 50-50. So who really owns the relationship? Who knows? That doesn't exist in the entrepreneur world. Right. So helping the specific people. Number 5, you got to capture testimonials with specifics around the outcome you delivered. Like when I say capture testimonials, after you help these people, you got to go back and get them to say that you helped them. That in a way that you can use in your marketing. Remember, you're running a company.
Yeah, it's funny, even in the corporate world, right? The user, like user stories, right? So use cases, right, where you're able to actually name the client is so much more powerful than just saying we can do this for you.
Yeah.
When you have to say client X, actually used us to do A, B, and C. That is so much more powerful than just explaining it.
Yeah, if I say that we do this sort of thing, or I say we've done this for Capital Group and Vanguard, like that's a totally different thing. Right. So, and then finally, the last is to network, just like it is in the career or a job thing. You have to network, but with specific creators in your space, which might just be other business folks, small businesses, just like you. You have to curry a network of people in the business circle the way you would in the personal circle. So you want to own the problem, build an offer, create a specific content process around it. You have to attract a community, help those people, and then network with others doing what you're doing. Those 6 steps are.
So when you're networking with the other people that are kind of doing the similar things that you're doing, right? It's almost like you're bouncing ideas off of your peers, right? It's that networking thing, sharing the victories, but also the potential pitfalls, because maybe somebody else ran into a problem that you haven't seen yet, but now because you've heard the lesson that was learned. So
I would argue that's what we're doing here, Dan, right? How long have you been running Fastbook? You've been running your own firm for years.
Yeah.
I've been running my own firm for years.
Right.
Here we are. And by the way, we did work together previously on Wall Street, and now we're working together. Don't remind me. You came to me months ago, talking about Twitch. Now it's in the news that Twitch is actually becoming a news source on the college campuses for these kids live streaming.
And that's why we're broadcasting Twitch here, because what do we want to do? We want to attack that market.
You opened my eyes to that. I shared with you that the news of developments of what's going on with the college campuses. You said let's do their show through that. Like, the point is, Networking is helping other people that are doing similar things to what you're doing.
Excellent. So we've got the 3 paths. Go find another corporate job. Go watch episode 4. Pivot to a growth industry, or become an entrepreneur, right? Pivot to be an entrepreneur. So we've got the 3, but ultimately it's on the person, the individual, right, that has to say that I want to do this thing. What frequently happens is they don't know what's the process, right? And so we've actually gone over this before, but we will go over it again today, right now. It's what are the things that we as an audience, that you guys out there can do right now. So number 1, find your direction, right? So find your growth industry, or find the problem that you want to do, right? That you want to help fix.
If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. You need to be specific for yourself, privately, in the shower, walking the dog. This is where I think I want to move towards.
Right. And then learn, right? There's classes out there, right? It's either pivot and find something new, or start a business. There's so many resources out there that you can do, but why not leverage network and then leverage other people's expertise? So
either way, if you're pivoting in any regard, you're going to have to start skill stacking. It's time to learn.
Yeah, you've got to expand your skills, right? As you make the pivot, and then you're going to learn. Of course, you're going to learn too as you go along. Number 3, learn how to leverage AI. Right?
AI is an inescapable future reality, guys. If you don't know already how you can benefit from using the thing, you're falling behind. That doesn't necessarily mean making your own job more efficient. It means how can you, as a person, in where you want to go, like you can sit and talk to the machine and have it counsel you. I'm not kidding. Start using AI in ways that can help you get to where you want to go.
Yeah, there's actually a funny story of like kind of a few months ago. There was a person that said, "Hey, if I want to start a company," and they asked ChatGPT this: "If I want to start a new company for as little money as possible, what should it do?" And it spit out an idea, which was start a t-shirt shop. And the person started a t-shirt shop for like $1,000, and they're absolutely destroying it. Right, they're crushing it. So.
But the only thing the warning on that is you got to know what you want to do in terms of what makes your soul burn. Like you don't want to just do t-shirts if that's because you can make money. You can make money doing anything, right? We can make money digging ditches if you really want. Find what you like is my point.
Right. So then build your personal brand around it, right? So that you're known, right, for doing the things that solve problems. Right. Then get out there, network. Finally make your pivot, right?
Yep.
And talk about, by the way, this is something that I've coached a ton of people on, making content about what you're doing, not the result. Like if you're going to go see a client, have your phone there, right? As you pull up in your car, say, "Hey, I'm really excited about seeing this new client. We're going to talk about A, B, and C. We're going to try to solve their problems. Get back to you, with how it went." Like.
So it's a quick story on that. A couple of years back, I was giving a stage talk to the Creator Economy Expo out in Arizona. And before I go on stage, I'll hop on the Instagram Live, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm about to go on stage. I'm nervous. Like this is quick insight behind the scenes of what goes on here. Then go do my thing." The point is, you're building in public when you're trying to make a pivot, and you share with people, "I'm making a pivot." They will be attracted to that. They will help you.
The authenticity will come out, right? Yeah. And then you could also make content about making content. That's a different show, but then relationship selling, right? I think we've all been hit up on LinkedIn, and we've gotten so much spam, right? We call them pitch slaps, right, on LinkedIn.
You know, we haven't run into this yet, Dan. On these live broadcasts, this happens to me on the blockchain thing all the time. I get hit in the chat all while I'm live of, "Hey, I see you're podcasting. We can help you do that 10 times better."
No, I have that. Yeah,
so you do get it.
Oh, I do get it. Yeah, at least one a week.
Like, dude, I'm live on stream right now. Can I come back and be pitched later? Like, let me just get through this.
Yeah, right. Like, can you hang on, caller, please?
Right.
Caller, please hold. So, but really building relationships through selling and not just looking for the transaction. I think that's a lost art. I think people have to get back to it to be more authentic.
It is a lost art. And relationship selling is a skill that's not just a good idea. It's the only form of selling that will happen in an AI world. People want to know who you are. And if they don't really like you, they're not going to do business with you. There's no more pressuring.
Right. Right. Like the whole high pressure sales, it's just not there because there's so much choice. And especially in an AI world, there's more choice than ever.
This is not the program for this, but we're heading into a sales world of the AI avatar that sells to the AI avatar that receives the pitch. There's no emotion involved at all.
Right.
So if I don't actually love Dano and what he's doing over there at Fastbook, he's not going to get the business. Same with you.
Yeah, it's like the Matrix times 10, right? So, and then working on collaborations, right?
What we're doing here.
That's what we're doing here, right? That's
sharing knowledge, helping people up the curve. I mean, when you start helping people in ways they can't repay you, they'll find a way to repay you.
Yeah, ultimately, right. And which actually brings us to, as we share our knowledge, that I encourage everybody to continue to follow us because Mark, John Lovig, our guest on episode 4, and we are launching a school. So really aligned to what we talked about today. So, and John will be teaching a class how to look for a job like a recruiter. I will be teaching a course, make your pivot to a growth industry. And Mark,
basically how to launch and grow your online business.
Right. So we will be announcing more and more about what we're doing as we build this business, but we are here to give back to all of you, right, to our community, right, and as we navigate this world of of great change.
I want to just comment on something, Dan. You've said to me privately, at different stages of people's lives, they're in different phases of what they want to learn about or move towards. Right. So you might, in my particular case, I loved being on Wall Street when I was there, and then I hated it and wanted to do my own thing, and now I love what I'm doing. At the wrong phase of my life, it was a bad fit. So again, you have to assess, where are you in your phase? What do you think you want to try? And then hopefully there's something that fits where you can move towards from what we can provide you. But the goal here really is not necessarily to give you the answer, but to help provide you the tools you'll need to get to the answer for yourself.
Ultimately, everyone's going to choose their own path, right? It's like that. It's like those books. The choose your own adventure. Choose your own adventure.
You're dating yourself, pal. Turn to page 18 if you want to go into the dark cave.
Yeah, I love those books, right? Because ultimately you become, right? You become the star of the story, right? And you should be the star of your story, right? And why be the star of somebody else's or a company's story? I mean, you can do that, but ultimately we're all there just for ourselves, right? So, Mark, great show. Thank you so much. High five. This is episode 9 of Everything to Gain, where we talk about making positive changes in your life. For all of you, please follow us here as well as on YouTube at E2G Show or on Twitch at E2G Show.
Right, guys. If you found any value in any of what we talked about and you think other people could benefit from this, we'd ask you to pass it along, not for any other reason except that people are feeling lost. A lot of folks are confused. They're frightened. They don't know what to do. There's no straight one answer for everyone. So we feel we're trying to bring a little bit of the conversation around not just here's what you need to do, but more of these are the things you should be thinking about and some potentials that you can move in these directions. So if you think people can benefit from this, we'd ask you to share and pass it along.
Yes, like and subscribe, and as we continue to grow our show, so we will be bringing on more guests. Oh, by the way, next week we can preview next week, episode 10. Episode 10. Mark and I are going to have a blind battle. We're going to bring we're each going to bring 5, right? So 5 for you, 5 for me. 5 pop culture references of making positive changes in your life.
So I just want people that are listening to know I had to whittle Dano down from 500 pop culture references to 5. We may never get out of one movie with you.
Hey, listen, actually I posted today Princess Bride, so I won't use Princess Bride, but that's a perfect one, right? Princess Bride. It's all about career pivots. So I will see you next week, my friend.
Good job, Dano. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us and watching today. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully, we are helping you guys. This is what we do. And anyway, with that, I want to get back to our theme music. Thank you, LJ, Tisdale, DJ Metronics, for our theme song. So,
thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate it. Happy Friday, gangs.
All right, have a good weekend.